Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Hope you're all doing well. I see we got some more people coming through, but we do need to get started. Today I wanted to present to you some of the great features we are delivering in field service for 2026 Wave 1. So I am Jason Duplessis, by the way. I'm the FastTrack Global Field Service Lead, so I cover field service for across all of our regions. Um, I'm not going to drain all of the features releasing in 2026 Wave 1. We've got a lot of great features. A lot of investment is happening across field service. Hopefully you've seen that. Dan Gittler has released an excellent roadmap video. I highly recommend going and viewing that. Dan covers not only our Wave 1 feature set, but also our forward vision. And we also released a really great video as part of the Wave release into just covering each of the features. What I wanted to do today is rather show you some demos, show you some of the real-world capabilities, and happy to stop and pause if we have any questions that come through. Please post those through. So starting with mobile, we want to improve mobile and really improve the experience for mobile users. Our ongoing mission is to make it less clicks, easier to get to the information you want. And we've been doing a lot of investment, and we're going to be continue doing a lot of investment. Performance and stability also very, very critical for us. You'll see on the release wave, for example, we've done improvements to the Android load times. Those will be improving at least 25% on Android. There was some specific code that we could improve in that area. One of the other areas is around offline performance when you're doing synchronization. This is a critical piece. A lot of scenarios, you're downloading a lot of data. And you can today tailor that to a degree. You can filter, create your own custom filters and define which tables and what those filter criteria are. What you can't bring today is some of the hints and optimizations that are available in FetchXML, or really to tailor that query so that you can modify that based on what you know about the data set. Is it a very, very large table, for example? I'm joining across multiple tables where one of the table is much larger than the other. The hints allow that. So let me show you how to configure that and set that up. So you want to go into your field service mobile application, go to the settings, go down to your profile, click edit on that, and then pick whichever table you're going to be optimizing. Let's pick the account record. And click on the edit filter. This is all standard features that's been there in the product for a while. So we open up our filter, we can see our designer. The new button at the bottom is that view and edit offline profile filter. So here you can now actually completely edit and customize your FetchXML. You can add in hints. So for example, I know this table is going to be very big, so I'll add in a late materialize. And what late materialize means is that we'll join all the tables together, do all the filter criteria, and then go and fetch all the columns. Accounts can have a lot of columns, so it's really, really important. Just as a call out, we also have the filter column feature. Really, really recommend using this. The count out of the box, 178 fields. Do you need all of those on your mobile device? So you want to filter those out. Those two combinations can really, really improve your overall sync time, the amount of data storage that gets put on the device itself. So those two together, we think can really have a big impact. There are additional features coming, but I think these two can make a really big impact. So some just maybe two points to call out, some best practices here. Have a look at these are all documented, all of the performance hints that you know so well for your standard FetchXML are available, including some of the SQL hints as well. The editor will validate your FetchXML for you. So just check if it gives up any warnings or errors. Don't ignore those because they could cause issues further down the line. and make sure you go and save your offline profile. There's an apply button, but you also need to click and save on the offline profile. We don't support in offline certain really any of the join types except for any or not any. Any means that if the parent has any child records, then the parent will appear. So you'll get a booking record, for example, if any of the child records that you've joined to, and not any is the reverse. If any of the child records exist, then the parent record will not be fetched. Please don't put any FetchXML attributes in there. This is not the place to select which columns you want to bring back in your FetchXML. That is the column filter that I showed you earlier. Don't put any pagination. The offline sync engine will manage that for you. So those will just be ignored if you put them in there. And just to call out, we are limited to 500 filter clauses in your query. Another big mobile enhancement, one that we've had and asked for a lot of customers, and I think a really, really valuable one, is enhancements to really the mobile experience for your grid views. So some of the feedback has been the icon that we use doesn't really bring a lot of value, uses up a lot of real estate, so you can now turn that off if you want that icon or not. This is part of the Power Apps Grid, by the way, control. You can choose to use these in your non-mobile experience as well. They only show up because the control is reactive when you have a narrow width control, but the avatar can still be disabled. And then you can also choose to increase the number of columns. By default, we show 3. That's pulled back from the view. You can now add that up to 10 columns. So you can choose how many columns you want to see in the grid. And if you want to, you can also enable alternate row highlighting. So I think that really helps to differentiate if you've got lots and lots of rows with lots of columns to be identify rows. Let me show you how to actually set this up. So let's open up an account view, for example. So we're going to add this. So when I go and look at the list of accounts. So if you don't see the Power App Grid control there, then you want to just go and fetch that control, add it to the view. There's a lot of settings on the Power Apps Grid. One of the things I would suggest, it's not required, but is to turn off multi-select on mobile. Because especially on iOS, it means that you can then click straight through to the record and you don't see the text box. So I'm turning off the avatar here. I'm also enabling the alternate rows, and then I increase the column. Sorry, I went a bit quick there, to 5. So that's it. And you click publish, and now for that view, you would be getting that new experience. You can choose to say only enable that for mobile, or if you want to for web and tablet as well. Similarly, you can do this for subgrids as well. So, for example, if we go to the account form. Just wait for this to load. And on the contact subgrid, I want to, again, add the Power App Grid if it wasn't there. And I can go and modify the settings there to, again, hide the icon avatar and also do the alternative rows, etc., and show additional columns. So this is both for the grid views and the list views. This is now available. Any feedback on this, we would love to hear. We want to continue to evolve this capability. So please share any feedback that you may have on this. Okay. So let me show you now what that will look like. So if I go to my mobile phone and I open up some accounts, and you can see the icon's gone, and I now have those 5 columns. If I open up the account record, and I go down to the list of contacts. Sorry, this one doesn't have a lot of records. Let me open up another account for you. You'll be able to see now that, again, we have the new experience on a mobile. Real estate is really important. This is just really valuable. So I wanted to call out another feature. Unfortunately, don't have a demo for this one, but this feature, is also coming out. I think it's coming out in May. Where you can turn off the clicks on a lookup. So this will be just a setting in the Power App Maker experience where you'll be able to say for lookups, the fact that the link, it doesn't open up the record when you click on it. For web, maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense, but for mobile, things like priority or statuses or something like that, the user never wants to open those records. And occasionally they might touch it and they may see an error, or they may just have to open up that record. So a great feature, really easy to use, and improve overall usability. Another great feature that I think, which unfortunately won't be demoing, is the lookup control. So on the left is what we have, the standard lookup control on mobile, takes up the whole screen. It's not really, users may not recognize this as a standard way of doing lookups. So we've got this new Docker control that will slide up. This is maybe looking like it's on iOS. This is supported on Android and on the Windows as well. So this is just a new control. You can drop it on, and you can choose to use it against any lookup control that you want. Okay. So another great control we've added, using really the same experience, is for the booking status control. So this will be automatically applied. So wherever you use the booking status control today, this will be applied in the next few weeks. And so please have a look, see if there's any impact. It shouldn't be. It should be exactly the same, the layout and everything. But it has a Docker control that will come up from the bottom. Really easy for users to use now. A lot more intuitive. So again, love some feedback on this one. I think users hopefully will love this. So jumping into scheduling and the schedule board, again, we're doing a lot of investment here, a lot around scheduling operations agent and some from our agentic capabilities, but we're also doing work to improve the overall schedule usage. So things like, for example, multi-record editing. This is one users have asked for a long time. I have a lot of bookings against a resource, and I want to move that to another resource. So, for example, in this case, I want to move it from Emily to Emma. So it could be maybe even 20 records. I want to move them all across. I can very easily now just reassign those records. So it takes a few seconds, and now you have all those records reassigned. Wait for that to finish. And another scenario would be, I've got the bookings now assigned to Emma, but she's not available in the morning. I want to move those to the afternoon slot. So I can move all my bookings that I've selected, just move them forward by 4 hours. So very, very easily, I can now, instead of having to select them all and manually drag each one, I can just move them all across. So a lot of scenarios where customers have raised that this would be useful. When that finishes, some of the other things that you can also do, which I'll show you in a second, is you can also say, well, I don't want to move them forward. I want to move them backwards, for example. I want to move them by days or weeks, or so you can have a lot more options there in terms of moving them. Some of the other visual enhancements we've added is week numbers. So this is following the standard personalization settings inside Dynamics. You just go into your formatting sections, click customize, and if you may have this already set, but if you go to the date and if you tick show week numbers on calendar views, the ask has always been, well, can we apply the same on schedule board? And you can now. So if you when the schedule board reloads, you'll be able to now see week numbers in certain areas of the schedule board where they make sense. Just give us a few seconds while it reloads. There we go. So the first place you'll see it is in the date picker. So if you go and picking a date, you'll see the week numbers down the side there. So this is very useful, especially for customers in Europe, where often you work in week. And what you can also, where you'll also see the week, is in the weekly view itself. So if you switch to the weekly view at the top there, you'll actually see the week numbers as well. So a big, as I said, a strong ask from our European customers, and we hope find that valuable. The next feature is actually around maps. So what we've heard is a lot of dispatchers will just use the map view, and we lack the ability to be able to show that really full screen. So we have a new option. We had the Gantt chart, we had the list view, now we have the map. And you can now make that full screen. So you can put that on a large screen format that's sitting in the office, and you can track all the engineers, track all the requirements in effectively real time on the map. So a nice simple feature, but hopefully really valuable. And again, we'd love your feedback. Changing gears again, and now I want to just talk to you about uh, M365. So Dan Gickler recently announced that Dynamics 365 Field Service will support the capability to bring M365 chat. I think this is going to be a game changer. A lot of new scenarios open up to be able to, because of the ability to be able to do that. And I want to show you the out of the box, what you can do just basically turning it on. There are some requirements around licensing, and you need to go and turn on Copilot in that environment, as well as your individual apps to make sure you see this lit up. But once you get that, incredibly powerful, far more enhanced than our previous side chat. So definitely recommend giving this another try. You'll see that it can bring a lot more data and access even external services. So it'll be in the same familiar place. You click on chat. So in this case, what I'd like to do is I want to find out about the work orders that were created in the last 7 days. And I want to categorize them maybe by duration and incident type. And then crucially highlight any trends. So quite a big ask, a lot of data to analyze there, and again present that in a nice user-friendly way. So I'll let that run, take a little bit of time, but you'll see that the output that comes back is really detailed. So we can see the summary by duration, we can see key trends and insights, we can see if there's any missing incident data, any potential durations or any patterns. Potentially what that would mean for operationally, and then some suggested next steps. So a lot of great, rich data. We can even jump in now and go into more and start slicing the work orders by territory, and identify any potential bottlenecks, or a few other suggestions there. So as I mentioned, really, really powerful. This is, the same engine that's being used in M365 and Teams. It has the same capabilities. I think this is going to be really, really impactful for users. What you can also do is bring your own agents. So either agents that are being deployed within your organization, or agents that you've created and have shared. So for example, if I have an agent that I've created and I want to maybe be able to use to generate demo data or test data within my environment. So I'm working in my test environment, and I need some demo data that I want to create. So I've created an agent like that. It's a very simple agent. It really is just the MCP tool for Dataverse. So we can go and access and query Dynamics. And then a very simple set of instructions that trains it a little bit about what a demo data is and how it should create it. So let me show you how you get to that. So just click the icon on the top left. You'll see all the list of agents that you have access to. The same agents, as I said, that you'll see in Teams and M365. So for this one, let's maybe say that we want to generate some test data. And we'll make this for a fictitious company that maybe makes industrial fidget spinners, maybe. And we'll create, let's get it to create, say, 10 work orders. We'll center it around Seattle. We could provide any geography, and it will look at that location. It will create usernames that are based around that locale, addresses that are representative of that region, but not real addresses. We can ask it to create lat longs that would be representative again for the Seattle region or anywhere else in the world. I've asked it to create the contact counts and contacts as well. Again, those will be localized, but not real people, not real locations. And I want to make sure those are created. So if we go and run that, so in this environment, I want to create those 10 work orders, as well as all the associated records that come back. So there's the suggestion and the data plan. What it's going to be creating, the types of records. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I can go ahead and just say, yes, go ahead and create those. So now it's going to go and actually execute that and actually go and generate those records. So it'll give me a summary of all the records it's created, along with all the information. And if I refresh that, you can see we have some new data now, and with really interesting names for the accounts. Those all been set up. I could have asked it for the functional location and everything else. Maybe have some of them scheduled or not. I didn't do that. But you can see, it's put in all the information on the incident types, work order types. You could have created notes and attachments as well. So very, very useful directly from Dynamics, with that side chat. And there's, many, many, many more scenarios that you could use for within your own custom agents. So hopefully that's been useful. I know we've kind of a little bit shorter than planned. Kind of the content went a little bit quicker than I anticipated. I'm open for any questions, anything that anyone would like to ask, any points to discuss. But otherwise, hopefully that was of use for everyone. Great. Well then, thank you very much. Thank you all for attending. And have a wonderful day.